Okay, and we are back with game number 1 of this grand final as Global Esports Face-Off versus Entity Gaming, the clash of the Titans. And we have some new Titans now in the Indian scene, as there's been a major shuffle, and I can't wait to see what follows, Angela, for Indian Dota.
I mean, it just gets better and better with every passing year. And TGC definitely being that tournament where we've seen so many new players come in and get established into some wonderful teams and start their careers right from where this event is happening. So if you're a team out there looking to be found, TEGC is the place to go. This is where you got to be today, my friends, because this is the grand finals. It's Entity Gaming versus Global Esports. Now, before we went into that little bit of a break, we finished half of the draft, which happened. And
Oh, yeah.
very interesting point in the draft where we've reached. We have the Tiny, the Ogre, and the Lich pickup coming out here from Global. Meanwhile, Entity, they decided to go with the Abaddon, the Mirana, and the Sun King, and that's where we came to a halt in this draft. So I'm sure both these teams have gone ahead, done a little bit more of understanding on what they really want to pick up
Yep.
as their last two heroes today.
Yeah, I'm glad Naga Science been banned out. Morphling getting banned out as well from Global Esports. I know that Moon did play the Morphling at the ESL Mumbai LAN finale. So that's pretty much just a respect ban. Invoker getting banned out. That's, I think anyone who knows Indian Dota knows that Akmish plays Invoker.
Yeah,
I
out the
think
Tinker. He's
or
a
the Tinker. But
fantastic
I think
Tinker player.
Invoker's been like one of his strongest picks since whenever. And then there's a long history between Bangalore and Invoker players. So as Invoker is banned out as well, Global Esports are going to pick themselves up the Tiny that's going to be in the very capable hands of Crowley, the Ogre, and the Lich. Now, I might be wrong about the Tiny because Global maybe want to switch things up and make this a 3-position Ogre. So they do have that flexibility, Entity Gaming. Uh, you know what I'd really like, Angela? For them to put this Mirana as a core and
Oh.
pick up a support Rubik. This is such a good game for Rubik.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when you look at the way this draft is going, Rubik definitely could be a choice here, but Global, they are going ahead and showcasing Swifty's hero a little earlier than normal, and it's going to be the OD. Now, this is a great choice here for Global Esports because if there's one hero that Entity is looking to counter, it's Blizzard's hero. And the fact that Moon is also one of the strongest players here on Entity's side, they want to make sure that they can pick up Moon, a hero that can easily counter Blizzard's hero. So they are going to give up the carry pickup on the fourth option and pick up Swifty's hero in the place of that because they know they can deal with whoever comes mid. It's the carry that's a problem this time around Entity Gaming. So I like the way Global has really switched things up here for themselves. And with that, Entity Gaming, they're going to pick up the Pugna. Nice pickup. I mean, there are four heroes on the opposite side who take a lot of damage just from that nether ward. So the fact that Entity has done a little bit more homework, this has definitely got to do with that quick tactical break that we had in between. But that's going to be fun to see how they really reply to this. We still have two more bans left on the board before we enter the last picking phase. This time around, Entity has done the maths. It's not going to be a Mirana core, I think, from the side of Entity. They don't want to risk giving Moon that Mirana, maybe as a secondary core for sure, but not as their major. So we could see something like the Juggernaut as an option here. We could see something like the Sven. It's tried, it's tested, it's loved. We could also see something like the Monkey King. But when I've seen Entity really play, they really like to give Moon something that's very late game centric also to a certain extent. So we could see the Gyro if he's not already banned here in the final banning phase. Another hero that I'm really looking forward to is the Faceless Void. Because if they really go ahead with the Faceless Void pickup, they have the chance of disabling fights and retaking them or repositioning if a Global tries to cross a line with them. And that is the kind of hero that fares really well, even with the Mirana. They also have the Moonlight Shadows available to get those ganks and the Chronos on point. So those are the kind of heroes that I'm looking to see Entity pick up today. Their final ban, something that was very expected, the Anti-Mage ban coming out here. Both these teams have won against Whoops with that pickup, and what an ending to this draft. Entity closing very strong here with that Spectre pickup, and with that, of course, we have all the five heroes getting picked off here.
I think Global might just pick up Blizzard's Terrorblade here. The Reflection good versus the Spectre makes her hurt not just herself, but all her allies. So that is if the Spectre does build into a Radiance. Or else you just build a Manta style and dispel the Reflection. But yeah, I mean, looking at all the heroes on our drop screen, I think Terrorblade looks like an obvious choice here for Blizzard. I don't know if there's anything else he wants to pick up. He does play the Storm Spirit, but he's the one that's gonna pick up the Void.
So that's like a great pickup for them because Global does know with this new kind of roster that they're running, there are chances of mistakes, and Blizzard somehow is able to convert these mistakes if done right. Now Spectre fares decently well against the Void, so we will have to see what itemization these two players really run into to be able to get into that late game. But apart from that, just looking at the drafts, I do feel Global has a more synergized draft. They've got a lot of different elements that can work through the early to the mid to the late game. But on the other side, Entity, they got to make sure that Moon is able to pick up that farm up and running, because if he starts falling out, Zepido on that Mirana is not going to be playing a core. And that's going to put them on a spot of really trying to figure out how they really want to run this particular draft of theirs.
Yeah, Void Tiny, a very big classic coming out from TI. I think Entity were caught unaware. You normally ask me for predictions at this stage, but I'm
Yeah.
just going to go ahead and make mine. I think Entity got this game.
Game one, I
Yeah,
think
just based on
Global's
the
got
draft.
this. I think Global's got this game
Okay.
one. The two reasons for that. First of all, Global is previously known as Signify, known to finish games in 20 25 minutes marked when they know the kind of game or kind of draft that is against them. In this particular case, taking this game late is like nailing the coffin, because that Spectre, no matter what you say, she's one of the strongest carries as of now in Dota 2. You could say maybe the only other hero that I see who competes with the Spectre is a Medusa, but apart from that, there's no real other strong carry that I can think of. And knowing Blizzard, if he gets a good start in the first 9 to
Prepare
10
for
minutes, he's going
battle.
to pick up one quick item, and then he's just going to start steamrolling with the rest of his team. They're going to stick together and not give Moon enough time to farm, because Whoops made that mistake before yesterday, and I don't think Global is going to repeat that.
Okay. Well, we have some time on our hands, so we can run through the lineups here. For the side of Global Esports, we have the 5 position player, Pasol, playing the Lich. Crowley, he's going to be heading over to the offlane on the Tiny. A35 playing the 4 position Ogre. At mid will be Swifty. He's going to have a rather hard time as the game progresses versus the Pugna in general. And on the 1 position, the ever-reliable, their drafter, Blizzard.
Yay!
On the
Grand
other
finals.
side of the river in this exciting grand finals. As you can see, Angie and I are very hyped for this one. We have Divine playing the 5 position Abaddon, and that's going to be really, really a key role for Entity, because how much he manages to save an ally in the Chronosphere is going to determine the outcome of these fights. Moon, he's going to be playing the Spectre. He's going to be rather passive, like we called it earlier. This should be a 35 to 50-minute game. Archmage, he's going to be playing the Pugna. Zafido, in what is rumored to be his last time for Entity, playing the 4 position Mirana, and Zeus, currently playing the Sand King in the offlane along with Zafido.
And the quick Indian pause. You gotta have a pause, ladies and gentlemen. That's how the game starts. Now they're having a few packet loss problems, so this game may take a little time to start. But look at that. Even the timer is with us with a 1-1-1.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. But now let's talk a little bit about Ark. Let me just pick up on this Pugna. I haven't really seen him play a lot of Pugna.
Yeah.
Have
I
you?
haven't seen him play that hero, but it is such a smart pickup coming up from Entity. Uh, Clearly showing us that in game one, they are the team that does know how to draft a little bit better. I feel like this partner is going to be causing problems, because if you are Swifty, for example, and you want to drop the Santi's Eclipse, that costs you a lot of mana. 1.5 or 1.7 times, that is a lot of damage. So Swifty is going to be really careful as to when he does decide to commit the Santi's Eclipse. Now, one very easy way of dealing with the Pugna is to build summons. Ideally, something like a Nature's Prophet does a good job at just committing Treants to go and destroy that Nether Ward. But as long as the Nether Ward is in decent position, Global Esports, they've got to treat these fights with caution, because the Lich uses up a
30
lot of mana.
seconds to
Crowley
battle.
barely has much of a mana pool to work with on the Tiny in general, and then does use a lot of mana to get his stun toss combination going. The good news for Global is that there is a lot of synergy with the Chronosphere. Once Crowley picks up the Acceptor, and once he has the tree volley as an option, in the Chronosphere, those trees being chucked at you, that just hurts, and you're just standing there watching your hero die bit by bit.
I never thought of that part.
Oh
Yes,
yeah,
that's gonna be
this
very
was
scary.
this was the duo, the strongest duo you could ask for in TI9. Chronosphere into Tree Volley. I remember Secret doing it. I remember so many teams doing it. Entity, I'm surprised they let it through. They banned out the PL because they felt like they didn't have answers to Blizzard's PL, but Blizzard just ignores his personal preference and picks up what is a much more meta 1 position here. But the Void is such a hit and miss hero. I mean, it's all about your chronospheres, which are which have a really big cooldown. Uh, Crowley in all chat going for the hashtag up your game thing over there. That's the hashtag of his choice.
Taiwan excellence hashtag. Up your
Oh
game.
yeah,
Yeah.
the global esports hashtag is GE fighting, but everyone here wants to up their game. Uh,
Moon could definitely be a blue Pikachu. He could maybe replace Bulbasaur for the final stage in
I mean,
evolution.
if cameraman, can we get Moon on our screens?
Yeah, just to make sure we know exactly the Pikachu we're talking about. But quick resume now. We're back in the game. Hopefully, no more hiccups for this amazing grand finals. Um, Laning phase looks pretty decent. Yeah, we do see Divine who will be in the top lane. Blizzard, he is going to be in the bottom lane here, kicking out Archmage on that Pugna. Zeus, meanwhile, he's going to be just in the bottom lane there on that Sand King and waiting for the right movement. Zapito sending out that arrow. Oh, that was close. But it's not going to connect on Archmage. Good try there coming out there from Zapito. Meanwhile, top A35 just going to hit that club and get Divine pretty low here. Force him to use at least 2 tangos now.
I like how A35 has started on his Hoga. Knowing that he's playing the 4 position, he's picked up the Orb of Venom along with the Stout Shield. The Stout Shield is definitely going to help in blocking out attacks, so he's going to be having the advantage as far as trading is concerned. And with the Orb of Venom and Bloodlust at level 1, I don't think anyone from the side of Entity even wants to walk into this lane. Normally, this lane should be going towards the lineup that's running into battle, but A35 has played this really smart. The only thing is he's running low on regen, so a small adjustment that I'd like to see Entity make is maybe just throw in another support up top, force out the region from A35, thus having secured the lane for the Spectre. Things are in a much better place for her in the early stages of the game. Pasol will push Zafira all the way back home, so he's going to be making the long walk of shame. And back at mid, it is generally a matchup that I feel should start to favor the Pugna, because you got the decrypt to deny and secure creeps for yourself. Yeah, see, because of this, Swifty is going to have a hard time contesting denies.
Yeah, and that's going to be a difficult lane for him. But one lane that's doing pretty fine is the bottom lane, because we do see Blizzard. He's getting quite a few creeps there in the lane. No, he's not. He's been struggling here. He's got only 2 creeps for himself. And even though Zapito is not part of the lane, Zeus is able to match this momentum pretty evenly for himself.
Yeah, this is a matchup that does favor the Sand King. And I think this offlane should clearly be going in favor of Entity Gaming. Instead of trying to rescue the safe lane, they'll sack Moon for a bit in favor of contesting this void and giving Blizzard a hard time.
And that's so required, because if Blizzard starts doing really well in this lane, he definitely scales better than expected. 10 to 15 minutes into the game, Pasol, he is running really low. Another shot there from Zapito, and that's a quick kill there for Entity Gaming.
Yeah, first blood going the way of Entity. Blizzard and Global Esports aren't going to be too pleased about that. There was no need for Pasol to be caught out there all by himself. An early point in Burrow Strike paying dividends here for Zeus and the boys on the side of Entity Gaming. Up top, Crowley. Now he is giving Moon a really hard time, and I think Divine might just end up falling the 3 toss there. Fortunately, it's a deny coming out from Divine. Moon, Angela, has less CS than A35.
I mean, he's just playing really cautious, right? He can't really play these really bad moves. He just saw Divine lose his life. Of course, it was a deny, so it's not going to count. But nice reflexes coming out there from Divine. But at the same time, now Moon's got to be as cautious as Blizzard. If they kind of die even once or twice in the first 5 to 6 minutes, that's going to spoil their whole momentum throughout the game in getting those really early items. So I do understand the fact why he's running a little low on the CS.
While all of that was going on, Archmage ended up dying in the mid lane. Swifty coming out on top. That's a big swing as far as EXP is concerned. As you can see, Swifty sitting at level 4. Archmage has quite a way to go before he hits level 4. Up top, Crowley in a bit of trouble, but he's going to be more than okay. Down bottom, Zeus has also got to be careful. Both these side lanes with a lot of aggression, a lot of back and forth here. And Entity, they're not going to be too pleased about this, because I think they're losing. Yeah, they are losing 2 out of 3 lanes. And Zeus is trading even with Blizzard, who's managed to pull back in terms of CS. So this isn't going to be too much fun, and I think Entity have recognized the fact that they are losing their lanes. If they do lose their lanes like this, if Global Esports keep playing a faster pace of game, Moon is not going to get the time to come online. This Spectre might be a non-factor, an entity. They've got to pull back their laning phase. Zafiro knows this. He's going to try and set up for an
Dire
arrow in the mid lane.
structures are
Swifty
fortified.
will not get stunned by that arrow. He's going to be okay for now.
And this is exactly what we were talking about. The reliability of that lockdown from Zepiro is so situational that every single time he tries to take a gank and he fails, that's a lot of time wasted for the side of Entity Gaming. And
Yeah.
they got to start converting these into kills, because if Swifty is going to keep surviving, Zepiro is just going to lose so much experience. And not only lose experience, he's not going to be able to deal with Blizzard, who basically on the sidelines is doing pretty well for himself. Now, Swifty, he is pretty low on HP, but he does see the Invis Ruin. He could head for it, and he's going to be safe with that. Meanwhile, if you look at the last hits in the night, he's sitting on the top with 26 last hits, followed very, very closely there by Tiny, who's also his teammate, and now Blizzard, who's jumped on the third spot. So 3 players from the side of Global Esports now ruling the charts, and they also have a small net worth lead here for 1k net worth.
Yeah,
And,
I think this 1k net worth lead is boiling down to the fact that they're winning their lanes. Divine is going to try and salvage things and try and
Radiant's
pick up a
bottom
Wandering
tower
Rune.
is under
The
attack.
arrow
An easy
doesn't quite
shot.
connect, but they might still pursue for the kill. For Soul might just end up falling, will throw out another nuke. Zeus will pay with his life, and I think this is a trade that Global will be absolutely okay with, because they get a 3-position Sand King while they lose only the Lich. While up top, Moon being chased in the trees, doesn't have a dagger to get himself out. No mana for a TP. Divine there with the heals, trying to keep Moon alive and healthy. The Aphotic Shield might be enough. An arrow comes in from Zafiro, who did manage to TP up top. But Crowley, he's done the damage. He's gotten a kill on the enemy Spectre. Will pay with his life. But this has been a really rough lane for Moon on the Spectre. They try and pull it back with the kill onto A35 as well. Zafiro doesn't have a lead charge for a couple of seconds, but he's got the arrow. He's thinking about it. A35 moves into the trees, does manage to dodge it, but there's the dagger. Vision guaranteed. Moon wants that last hit if possible, but A35, he's got a friend in the area. Divine secures the kill, but pays with his life as Crowley, with the toss, manages to pull things back. A messy affair here. But you've got to remember that this has been a rough lane for the Spectre, as Pusol does end up falling in the mid lane as well.
And with that, of course, they had to call in Zepiro from the mid lane. So that rotation, not really that useful if you ask me. He's not achieved anything with those arrows. He's going to try another one. And it's not going to connect. Nice stun coming in there from A35. Good juking skills, though, by A35 in that previous game. He bought so much of time for
Yeah.
Crowley to really come back and get that other kill secured. And Moon didn't even get that kill off. So a total loss going in favor of Entity Gaming over there.
Yep.
Hopefully, it will not last for too long. Now, Moon, if you look at his last hits in the night, he's sitting with 16 last hits compared to the Void now, who's almost doubled that at 30 last hits. And Mirana, she's just going to be tossed out like she didn't exist.
I'm not quite sure what Zafiro was thinking. He had no mana at all. His Arcane Boots was on cooldown. He was burst so quickly. He's got to respect the fact that if the Ogre does manage to stun him, he's done for. And Crowley and A35 see an opportunity, capitalize upon it. Entity
Radiant's
have
middle
now
tower is
committed
under
to running a complete tri lane up top. And because of that, Zeus is going to be left all alone. He's not doing all that bad. Zafiro actually swings back to the off lane, where he sets up for a kill onto Pusol. And over time, I just feel that once Zeus gets himself his Veil of Discord, he's going for the Veil of Discord, he should start to really take over this lane, and life will start to get harder and harder for Blizzard.
Absolutely. Looking at the warding, of course, we do see a very aggressive ward coming in there from Global side. Though no one much is farming there, but every single time they do go to stack, Global Esports is going to know that the stack is getting made. So that's a good ward coming out there from their end. Meanwhile, Entity, they're just going to put one by the river, just to make sure that if Pokemon wants to go and collect the Ruin, they have enough. Plus, it also scouts out if there's going to be a rotation from the other side. Now, Zepiro trying time and time again to get a connector onto Swifty, but even without a ward being around, he is so cautious on how his movement is going to be onto this map. Meanwhile, back into the bottom lane, Pasol, he's the only one who's seeming to have a hard game, but I mean, if you're winning 2 lanes and it's only your support dying in the third, I think Global's going to be okay with that trade. Finally, an arrow connects. Pasol going to be paying for this with his life. I think he's the only one who's really dying, so it's fine. It's all right as long as Blizzard survives and things are going as planned. I think he doesn't mind being the sheep on the stick. Meanwhile, top lane, we're back to seeing Moon. He is struggling, but he's able to get quite a bit of farm. He has a net worth of just 2,200 for now. The only person on top of the net worth who's doing exceedingly well is Crowley with 3,600 net worth. And he has not even started on his voyage of roaming around the map and killing people. And once that begins, that Pugna has got to be so careful. Meanwhile, in mid lane, Blizzard just going to jump in. Chronosphere, something.
I think it was an illusion.
Oh, that was sad luck. That was a long cooldown now on that Chronosphere.
Good stuff coming up from Archmage. I mean, good enough to bait out the Chronosphere. This should be an opportunity for Entity to group up and maybe force a fight. Or for now, it seems as if they'll sell with taking this tier 1 tower down, while it looks like Global, they're just going to try and return the favor. Moon control with the Avalanche and the toss will fall. 50 commits the Santis Eclipse. No sort of movement coming up from the side of NTT. While down bottom though, they found Blizzard, so they will fight back. Both one positions having a hard time, but it is Blizzard who's coming out on top as far as net worth is concerned, at least for the time being.
Absolutely, and Archmage, meanwhile, he's realized that these objectives need to fall really quickly. The way the objectives will fall will give Entity Gaming the opening and the room to start getting Inspector really farmed. They can also have more control over the side of the map, which gives them the opening to just make sure they can get these ganks off, make sure they can catch off Blizzard, and give some Moon space. So that's the plan that Entity Gaming should be looking forward, and that Pugna means that towers are going to fall pretty quickly.
Yeah. Swifty moved up top to try and secure the skills onto the Spectre as well as the Abaddon, and immediately Archmage sees an opportunity. He's already bought down the tower to 373 points of health. So good stuff coming out from Archmage. The aggression continues. I don't know what he's going to make of this, because Moon is here with the Horn, so this should be possible, and indeed they're going to find a kill on to Swifty. While down bottom, Zeus causing problems of his own on the Sand King. Blizzard not having any luck as he dies yet again. And
that's his second death in 2 minutes.
Oh yeah. Zafido, he's chasing, does have one more leap charge, doesn't need to use it. He's got Divine in the area with the shield and the mist coil. They will bring down the soul and maybe even look to bring down this tier 1 tower, because they have got a siege creep, and Archmage sees the mid lane empty, does end up securing the tower. Global, they want to defend bottom though. Zafido is going to end up falling. They have protection, do they? Fasol does have a couple of sentries, so they're going to try and make a move on Zeus. Zeus does have that Veil of Discord. Divine running for the time being. Global Esports, they might just find themselves the Abaddon. No Aphotic Shield coming out yet, and that means it will be Divine's death as Moon finds himself some space to work with.
Hopefully that space will be enough at the cost of 2 of his supports. And now Crowley back to his shenanigans. He's a 5k in net worth now. He's opted to already pick up the Blink Dagger just 11 minutes into the game, and that is a very scary item to give a Tiny so early on. Everybody's food for him. You look at the Pugna, you look at the Sand King, the Mirana, they all are so squishy, including Divine, who's still not yet level 6, I think. And he's got to start, he's already level 6, but he's got so many wards in his inventory, but is not getting time to place it down. For now, Entity only has vision in the top lane. Apart from that, they don't really know where Global Esports is roaming around. And meanwhile, back to the Moonlight Shadows. There's going to be a quick Moonlight Shadows getting propped here from Entity Gaming. We need to find a kill from this. We're also going to see a quick smoke
Radiant's
getting
middle
propped.
tower is under attack.
Entity, they're moving top towards Blizzard. They do not have any instant lockdown to shut him down. They're probably going to rely on Zeus, but Zeus is in there. The Decrypt, the lifeline is available, but Blizzard will turn with the Chrono and the Time Walk. He's back to full HP. He's setting up for Crowley. They'll burst down the Mirana. Mirana there. They can look for more. 835 with the Fire Blast. Will manage to catch one. That's Archmage, the 2-position Pugna dying. And with the Astral, they'll even bring down Divine. His Borrow Time not available. No friends in the area. A Moonlight Shadow coming up from Entity results in death in the midnight, as Entity lose 3 and find nothing at the end of it all.
That was such a bad fight there for Entity Gaming. I mean, they're relying on that arrow a little too much. Maybe if Zeus had started with this stun, this would have had a very different outcome. But Zeus was not even there in the fight. And because of that, that just went in the other way around. Now, giving Blizzard so many openings also puts the focus onto the network charts. He's again doing pretty well. With that, they also get the tier 1 objective into the top lane, giving Global so much more control into the Dire jungle. And Entity is not going to be too pleased about that. They are going to be heading into just ward a little bit more. But all these aggressive wards, they got to start paying off, because as long as your tier 1 tower is standing on the top lane, things go really good. But the minute your tier 1 tower falls, Moon has to be so cautious on how he decides to farm now. Meanwhile, A35, he sees Divine, he walks towards him. There's going to be a quick blink right there on Divine's face, and now there are 3 heroes from the side of GE just following him, waiting to shut him off. He denies himself though, and yet again, nice play coming out there.
Yeah, good stuff coming up from Divine. I mean, he did get the ward down. I'm not sure if that's going to get dewarded, but they made enough space for Archmage to go and push out bottom. Decrypt on a Swifty, but the Avatos is there from Crowley. It's an early nether ward. I believe it's level 2 or level 3. The life drain there pushing back Swifty. This tier 1 tower should probably end up falling. They get the objective. They want to get out, but there's A35 on the Ogre. Difficult as always. Even 14 minutes in with just an Arcane Boots, he's doing a lot of work. And Zeus, so close to his own Blink Dagger, has not yet stepped up in the mid game. Like you mentioned, we were really missing him in that previous fight. But yeah, this is what Entity need to do. They need to group up with the Sand King, not without him, and maybe try and look for an opening. Oh, Crowley, they see Crowley, but he's quick to blink from the low ground. I'm not quite sure what got his spidey senses tingling. Nonetheless, Zeus does manage to close the gap, but there's no one next to him. Zeus eats an avalanche and a toss. Pusol finally dies. I believe that was the Netherward doing a lot of work, and with the life drain, Archmage sets up for more. They find both supports, but they don't find Crowley.
I think Entity is going to be okay with that. The fact that they did get a gank off so beautifully and it didn't backfire on their faces, it's worth it.
Oh,
And now
bounties. Crowley, they almost end up catching him. Blizzard!
Blizzard!
An arrow. It took him 8 tries for this to come together for Zafido, but it finally works, and it's rather anticlimactic as they just don't want to make a play on the back of that arrow, because they do know that Blizzard does have the Chronosphere, and if they do not burst him down, this fight could have gone horribly wrong for them. They do end up losing Divine, time and time again, just being focused by Crowley. I think both 5-position supports are being bullied a little bit too much.
I think the fact remains that when we had that tactical break, all that Rona Crystal is like kill Divine. Your only objective is kill Divine. As long as Divine's dead and we've got more in control, we can hold this game for Blizzard to get a lot of farm up and running. And talking about farm, we have Faceless Void now with a Maelstrom. Crowley yet again. Oh, Zapido escaping at the dawn of HP. But better safe than sorry.
So I think Crowley can make a very slight adjustment to ensure that he gets that kill. If he did that with a tree in hand, he could have tossed the... he's going to get... Oh, what? Okay, Divine keeps the feeder alive. But if he did that play, the avalanche toss, and chucked the tree in his direction, he would have been able to get the kill. Didn't have a tree, so doesn't end up getting the kill. Back up top, they managed to bring down Blizzard. Both 1 and 5 positions on either side are really having a rough game. But Crowley just keeps the momentum going. He wants in. He's got himself a double damage rune. Divine sees this. Can he save Zafido yet again? This time not. The borrow time will proc, and that's Divine just getting the heck out of there.
I don't need no tree. I'm just going to keep jumping and doing the same
He was at a half
thing.
HP, Angela.
Poor guy.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
I think if Entity did watch Global's game yesterday versus Wipeout, they've got to know that you cannot just assume that Crowley will not kill you or mess up. And they've got to respect what this Tiny can do.
He is becoming a very scary Tiny. 16 minutes in, he's got that blink. He's already picked up another Oblivion staff. So he's doing pretty fine. Meanwhile, let's take a look at the warding yet again. You see Entity, they've dropped 2 very aggressive wards, but the major problem for them right now is their defense. You see Tiny is just roaming around in their jungle and there's nobody scouting that out. So Moon can't even risk going to his own jungle for now. He's got to be very cautious about that. Meanwhile, he's just going to be sitting in the bottom lane. He's collected about 2,000 gold. He needs another 2,000 to complete this Radiance. And maybe then, just maybe then, the tides will turn here for Entity Gaming. They have to make sure to keep him safe, keep him alive, and if that means investing 3 heroes around him doing absolutely nothing, they gotta go and do that. Meanwhile, now we do see Global. They are
Crowley did place the sword. I think it got pinged out. I'm not quite sure if it was Crowley or A35, but maybe, just maybe, this ward got pinged out. But yeah, as you can see, all of Global's vision, it's meant for Crowley to just move around the map and find kills. But Entity are playing this way smart. They're playing with the vision that they have, which is in Global's jungle. So they are avoiding these fights themselves. Divine gets another ward on this half of the map, so it's Global playing the top side of the map and Entity just playing towards the bottom. The thing that Global have got to remember is that Entity just push a lot faster. I mean, the Pugna is going to take down towers quicker than a Tiny and a Void can. So Entity are the ones that are actually with a small advantage because they're going to be pulling Global across the map.
Radiant's bottom tower
Zafido.
is under attack.
Is he gonna die? Are they gonna commit for this?
That's a
Dire's
huge
middle tower
investment just
is
for a
under attack.
Mirana. I mean, the better move is to go ahead and try to find where exactly Entity is sitting in the bottom lane. Because if they get 4 people, even in one Chronosphere, that is basically about a 2-minute gap for Global Esports to start taking on towers. So they should concentrate on objectives once they at least have 2 kills favoring them on the side. Meanwhile, Moon now, he is almost got that relic in his inventory. And that's a call for Global to go ahead and at least get a kill off on him. They can't really let Moon just free farm. Meanwhile, Zeus, he's picked up his Blink Dagger and his Veil.
Yeah, Zeus is doing the smart thing in a way, but Archmage, he's walked under a ward. This might be his death. Crowley should be able to have a read as to where he is on the map. He walks into A35. His jungle is now Global's jungle, as Archmage does end up falling.
This is just scary. I mean, the fact that Entity has to play on the back foot, they're to be so passive. The reliability factor on Spectre is so high right now that they can't even roam around this map very freely.
Dire's courier
I'm a bit...
has been killed.
Okay.
Shadows.
Yeah, they are playing passive. I'm sorry to cut you off. Oh, Crowley, that's what I was looking for. He was trying to make a play. But
Radiant
yeah,
are
they
scanning.
should get the top bounty runes. I'd like to see either team actually just deward their jungle. The first team to do that will find themselves in a huge advantage. Because at this stage, 20 minutes in, it's so much of a game that's
Dire's
reliant on
middle
vision
tower
for either
is
team.
under attack.
Yeah, also Zeus, he's committing for the Crimson Guard, or at least that's what he's queued up. I feel like most of
Dire's
the damage
bottom
coming out from
tower is
Global
under
right now
attack.
is magical.
Radiant's
Void
top
also
tower
has
is
a
under
Maelstrom, and
attack.
even the Bash is magical damage. But yet it will be a Crimson Guard for him. They find for Soul yet again. Will they look to fight? Blizzard goes in. The Haunt is there. They've got a little bit of vision to work with, courtesy the Haunt. A35 slowed by the Decrypt should end up falling. Epicenter committed. The Ogre should die in Global Esports. They want no part of this. Blizzard still does have the Chronosphere though, so it seems as if Global are luring them away from each other into a Chronosphere. But on second thought, it seems as if they're just going to TP out of them.
That was a good call coming there from Global. That was a bad fight for them. I'm glad they didn't take it because they did invest not much, just a kill on Persona and Ogre, but they called out the Spectre Haunt. And that means now Moon does not have his Global spell for quite a while. And that gives Global
Dire's
Esports a
middle
chance to
tower
really
is
take
under
him down
attack.
and even convert this into a few more options to just get a few kills on this map.
Yep. Well, Moon, he's nearly found himself his Radiance, just about 200 gold shy of it. And Entity, I think they are starting to come online bit by bit. Archmage going for the Glimmer Cape. Personally, I get where he's coming from. It is magic resistance. It is the ability to probably try and run away or maybe just save a friend. But I think the
Dire's
only
top
one item
tower
that can
is
really
under
protect
attack.
you against a Void Chronosphere
Radiant's
is
bottom
something like an
tower
Aeon
is
Disc,
under
which
attack.
I wouldn't be too surprised if he goes for in a bit. Global Esports, they've committed a Smoke of Deceit. They're not going to find anyone from the side of Entity at this top tier 2 tie.
Oh
Dire
my
are
god,
scanning.
Moon.
It is a smart play, but it is a really smart play coming out from
Dire's
Global
top
Esports. They
tower
know
is
that the
under
wave was
attack.
pushing in. They knew that someone would come to
Radiant's
defend
bottom
this tower,
tower is
but
under
Moon,
attack.
treading with caution, doesn't approach the tower. While they do
Dire's
manage
top
to set up
tower
for a
has
trade down
fallen.
bottom. Great Dota coming out from both teams. This is such a macro game coming out from both of them that they're literally going toe for toe here.
They're just outplaying each other with every single move that they have in mind. And with that fear of the Chronosphere, Entity's got to be very cautious. If they get caught out here, it's very scary. Now, looking at the item progressions yet again, we do see a BKB pickup that's going to be happening very soon on the side of Blizzard. But there's one player in certain that I haven't really moved my eyes on, and that is 50. He has been farming very privately. He's picked up the Kaya, he's got the BKB, he's also farming towards a Hex. And once that Hex comes online, it's going to be either Archmage or Spectre who's going to be hexed out in most of the fights. And that is not something that Entity should be really happy because apart from the Spectre, there's nobody else from the side of Entity Gaming that's really top on the net worth.
Yeah.
And that's not the way to look at it. And Mirana, of course, she's gone ahead with the Yule Scepter for now, just to make sure that if the
Dire's
Chronosphere
middle
does
tower
Blizzard,
connect,
they're going to connect with the Power Strike and the arrow, the epicenter there. Blizzard's there. They could flirt with the idea of going high ground and maybe even forcing some buybacks. They will commit the Moonlight Shadow. Crowley sees nothing or no one. Will just
Dire's
throw out an
middle
avalanche.
tower
Doesn't
is
quite
under
connect.
attack.
He's searching in the trees, but he will be denied as Entity know that they are fighting at the enemy side of the map. They haven't got Haunt. There is potential for a buyback coming up from Blizzard. A35, not quite sure what the play was. Does get caught out, does end up paying with his life. And Zafiro and Divine, they were searching for more or probably trying to contest the D-Ward. But Persol does get away with that D-Ward.
Good fight here coming in there for Entity Gaming. 15-18 scorecard, a slight net with change here, favoring Entity. And Moon, meanwhile, he's getting stronger now by the minute. He's picked up the Radiance. He's farming towards that Yasha.
Mm-hmm.
And now this is where the comfort zone starts building in for Entity. I mean, Global has been keeping the pressure going, but if they stop
Radiant's
keeping this
bottom
pressure at
tower
any
is
given
under
point of time,
attack.
Entity definitely looks like the stronger team as we head into the late game.
Radiant
And
are
Archmage,
scanning.
meanwhile, he's constantly keeping that pressure going with that
Radiant's
laning
top
presence.
tower is under attack.
He's almost managed to take down the top tower,
Radiant's
take it
top
down
tower
already,
has fallen.
and with that, now they're going to be heading into the tier 2 tower. Even though they're playing this really patient game, it's paying off for them. It's not that much of a difference, even if you lose a few objectives, because at the end of the day, the carry is getting farmed.
I think, Global, so they've itemized for the Pug now. I mean, they've all got a bunch of BKBs. That's definitely going to help us with the magical damage coming up from the Radiance and even the Sand King. But what you got to remember is that the Nether Ward, the damage that the Nether Ward does, it does pure spell immunity. Pretty certain. What? No? Excuse me. Huh. Okay, I think the damage does. I'm pretty certain, but I could be wrong. Maybe those BKBs are the right call then. My bad. We'll find out.
Now, GE,
Radiant's middle tower
they're going to
is
pick up
under
those
attack.
ruins. 835 getting really, really smart here with that ward, but
gonna
there
get
is a
dewarded.
D-ward right there. Good control on the map when it comes to the vision here by Entity Gaming. They're not really telling Global anymore where exactly they are, what are they up to, and that's always going to keep Global on the edge through every fight. And let's not forget, there is a Miran on the team. That means the Moonlight and the Spectre Haunt is going to be going together. That means whoever is on the side of Global needs to make sure that they have enough dust, they have enough sentries, and they're also alive. Because if Pasol is the one who's carrying around the sentries and the wards and he dies first, there's basically no vision now
Dire's
for
middle
Global
tower
Esports.
has been denied.
And they have a dust on 835. So yeah, I think these BKBs could be a big problem actually. I'm going to have to backtrack on my Nether Ward comment. I mean, I'll have to see it in play. I remember it piercing spell immunity. Maybe it's been changed. But yeah, if the Nether Ward is a non-factor, these fights are going to be hard for Entity. What they're going to have to hope to do is kite out Global Esports with the Glimmer Cape, with Divine, and maybe then try and take a fight after these BKBs have worn off. Alternatively, they don't have to take fights at all. I mean, you just let the Spectre keep on farming. It's a ticking time bomb for the side of Global Esports. I mean, as this game gets longer and longer, the Spectre becomes more and more of a problem. And do Global Esports really have answers to the Spectre? Is something that they're going to be asking themselves, and they might be pressured to make silly moves, get caught off guard, and have a couple of silly fights. For now, though, there's not a single Spirit Vessel, not even a Silver Edge, no answer to the Spectre and her Dispersion. And her desolate damage. But yeah, I think Global, they're confident that with these BKBs, they can take down the rest of Entity and then maybe move on to the Spectre at the very end or just ignore her altogether.
I'm a little surprised that the Global has stopped being so aggressive suddenly. They had a good momentum, they were setting it all up right, but suddenly now, even Crowley, he's just like backtracked. Now he's not really taking those fights.
I think to answer your question, the simple reason that Global aren't being aggressive right now is because they've taken a couple of fights. They've found the odd kill here and there, but it hasn't led to too many objectives. They haven't been able to shut down the Spectre. So the play for Global, it seems, is to just farm up. I think they're waiting on Crowley's Ag Scepter, and then maybe look for fights that lead to key objectives across the map, such as Roshan or a tier 2 or a tier 3 tower. For now, though, they're okay with the slower pace of game. They feel
Radiant's
that
middle
they need
tower
items
is
to be able to
under
have
attack.
answers to the Spectre, and they just don't have them yet.
Absolutely. Now Zeus, meanwhile, he's picked up his Crimson and is sitting on the back lines. He also has a Regen Ruin if he wants to make a catch here, but A35 looking very confident. He's just walking around the map like he owns it. And Zapito, he's just making sure he's got this awesome
Dire's
point.
top
He
tower
almost
is
got
under
that.
attack.
Crowley
Radiant's
is really
middle tower
playing
is
a
under
really
attack.
phenomenal game. Even in the mid lane, when we saw that blink out from him, it was just so beautiful. There was no ward scouting that out that there was a Moonlight Shadows that was propped. So it's completely his clear understanding and experience in the game now. 28 minutes into the game, we do see a net worth swing this time around. It's Spectre who's on top of the board. Very much expected. At the same time, the Faceless Void
Radiant are
and the OD are
scanning.
doing pretty fine. Closing up on those hexes.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I think we're gonna have this one team fight, which is just probably going to dictate the game and the rest of the game and this and the outcome of this game. Because both teams are becoming bigger and bigger, stronger and stronger, and no one is quite sure as to which of these two teams is the stronger team. Moon, he's completed his Manta style. He's going for the Skadi, which is more stats. The rest of Global Esports, they've got
Dire's
answers
bottom
to
tower
pretty much
is under
whatever
attack.
entity can throw at them with all these
Radiant's
BKBs.
middle tower
Crowley
is under attack.
was thinking of an Acceptor, but he's going to go back for the BKB. And
Dire's bottom
sorry,
tower
excuse me.
has
Crowley was
fallen.
thinking of a BKB,
Shadows
then goes
take
back to the
us.
Acceptor. I think he's completed his Acceptor. Yep, that's his Acceptor complete. But elsewhere, Horns, they found Blizzard. This isn't good at all. That's Blizzard dead.
Huge investment though for him though. I mean, they
For
did
Entity to
use
commit the haunt?
yeah, the epicenter, the haunt. I think there was a very exciting kill there for them.
Divine with the disrespect tips over there. But yeah, it's a big kill. They find Blizzard and Zeus. He's going to be a bit disappointed that the burst strike didn't land. But Archmage, he's found his fellow teammate of once upon a time A35. It looks like they won't pursue though.
This is a very we're back to square one. Honestly, this can go anywhere. At some point, I did feel like Global had that slight edge, but now that the game has paced into 30-minute mark, I really feel like slowly it's going to start tilting towards Entity, because the Faceless Void is definitely a strong hero, but you can't compare that to the power of a Spectre.
You know what? We haven't seen the Chronosphere into the tree volley yet.
Yeah.
So I think that is what Global Esports were farming away from. And just as soon as it's come online, they've grouped up. They popped a smoke. Crowley has his axe. They're going to try and make a play at the back of this. Moon has got to be careful. Fortunately, though, for him, Global Esports do not move in that direction. Zafito with the D-ward on the other side of the map might make Global think twice. They find Archmage. Archmage though has a Blink Dagger and a Glimmer Cape, so he's out of there. Crowley doesn't quite pursue. Moon showing himself in the top lane. Should probably just look to TP out about now. An Entity get away to safety as they themselves smoke. And now they're the ones on the hunt.
Yeah.
Are they going through with this? Does Moon have hunt? Okay, he's going to have it in 23 seconds or so.
They don't have the epicenter though, so they got to be very cautious about this fight. Even if they find one person, it's going to be very close.
This
but
is so good coming up from Entity. They're the ones that push really fast. Are they thinking of pushing though?
they could pursue this push and head into the tier 3 tower.
Dire are
Meanwhile,
scanning.
Moonlight is going to get dropped now. It's going to be a
Radiant's
close
bottom
Tense
tower
moments
is
here.
under
The arrow
attack.
does connect on his Swifty. Zeus needs to land a decent bounce like the Horn for vision. They'll try and focus down the OD, but the Chronosphere is there. Blizzard, he's got the Aegis and his BKB. Archmage with the lifeline trying to bring down Girl Swifty, but Swifty pops his BKB, tries to turn around. Pasol dead, will buy back. Crowley dropping really, really low. Might just end up falling. Divine will pursue. Crowley dead. The epicenter's there. Zeus does end up falling as Swifty takes away his unstoppable streak. It's Blizzard alone in the midst of them all, but he finally falls. That's his Aegis taken away. Moon has more than enough HP, but his friends not that healthy. Zafiro trying to kite them around. Swifty set up with for that Yule Scepter. He's going to end up falling. Archmage does get himself a double kill as Blizzard does time walk away, tries to stay alive, but the decrypt, the blast, it's all there. Moon can hunt him for days. He doesn't have the Spectre. I mean, he doesn't have the Skadi, but he should find himself the Faceless Void. A35, the only hero alive on the side of Global Esports, but not for long as Entity wipe them at the Rosh Pit. And they're also going to be ensuring that Blizzard doesn't have the Aegis anymore. Whatever advantage that Global tried to find themselves in the Rosh Pit is all taken away by Moon.
That
Radiant's
was
middle
some
tower is
crazy
under attack.
insights that coming in. Zapito getting that arrow on point, ET just jumping in. That
Radiant's
horn
middle
being
tower
so
has
well
fallen.
placed. Everybody else on the side of Global died instantly. We had to call a buyback here from the Lich. The Ogre needed a buyback, and that's like a
Radiant's
double
middle
buyback
tower
there.
is under
And
attack.
now that they know that
Dire's
Global's stuck in the base
structures
and they
are
don't have buyback, we're going to see Moon right in the front line. And this is the problem. When we talk about the experience of a team, GE had it. But somewhere, Entity
Radiant
Gaming, they just come
structures are
stronger with the
fortified.
firepower. They knew exactly how they wanted to play this out. There was a quick buyback even on Divine, if I'm not
Swifty,
wrong.
I'm not sure what the play was. He didn't pop his BKB. He's caught with the Borrow Strike. Fortunately, though, for him, the arrow doesn't connect. He's still at his shrine. Now he's waiting for Blizzard. Blizzard does have buyback, doesn't have the Chronos here. Gee, well, that bluff will not be called as Divine takes the rest of them on a wild goose chase. Does have a TP scroll, won't get to use it as Swifty there with the Hex will catch him out. Great stuff coming out from Entity. They're going to be a little disappointed that they didn't get the tier 3 tower. If Archmage was alive at the end of that fight or had buyback, he could be there to push the tower a little faster. But it is Entity sitting in the driver's seat.
That was close. That was close to comfort for there for Global Esports. They can't really make
Shukido,
these mistakes.
he's found one, but I don't think he can do this all by himself.
No,
Certainly not.
Even though he's super pissed off at Pradi for killing him so many times, he can't really reply to that with another kill on him. So they got to wait a little while. But Global now, they know that the Haunt is down. It's back online yet again. Sorry, my apologies. The Sand King Burrow Strike and the Epicenter is also online. So yet again, Global, they are on the back foot. They got to be very cautious on how they decide to play this. One mistake could cost them a lot. They have the Chronosphere, and in that Rosh fight, they didn't really have the tree grab.
Actually, hold on. All they need to do is cancel TPs at mid. Archmage will be able to cause damage down bottom. All Entity have to do is cancel TPs. I mean, Global might want to grow. What? Crowley cancelled his own TP. They want to take this fight.
Radiant's
Crowley's had
bottom
enough. He
tower
wants to bring
is
down the
under
Mirana.
attack.
Zafito Hex might just end up falling. The stun is there from the Ogre. That's Zafito dead. Is Archmage really going to keep the push going? It looks like he wants to. Zeus will manage to blink away. He's
Radiant's
alive and healthy
bottom
for the
tower
time being.
is under
Global,
attack.
they haven't gone back to defend, and Archmage hasn't
Dire's
pushed
middle
really
tower
hard
is
enough.
under
Zeus trying to
attack.
cut the creep wave, keeping Global away from that tier 3 tower. But Blizzard, he just left all of that. He just walked down bottom. He wants to chrono this Archmage Pugna and try and bring him down, but he doesn't find him.
Oh.
Radiant's
As
bottom
Entity at the
tower
end of it
is
all,
under
I mean,
attack.
they didn't defend that tier 2 tower mid. They did end up losing the Mirana. They should, if they try, they should get 4 bounty runes, or at least be able to deny one down bottom. Yeah,
It's a pressure play.
it
It's
is.
such a pressure play. But, you know, still, I do feel like Global needs to figure this out a little better. I mean, Archmage is just playing it very safe, but if he gets an opening into the bottom lane, he is going to get those, he's going to get those towers down. And he's just been split pushing. That's been his only job this whole game. He's not even been there in a lot of fights. The only time he really enters is when it's super necessary. Swifty, meanwhile, he is getting a lot of life drain onto him. And he's going to try and TP out of there, be very successful.
Look, Swifty, he's actually TP to the shrine, so they can take this fight. The Chronos, it's great. Blizzard with the initiation of his life. Moon there with the Hunt. The Chain Frost there. Avalanche as well. Sandy's Eclipse committed. They will lose the Sand King. That's their main form of lockdown there. But Swifty taking a lot of trouble from this bug now with the life drain. Will end up falling. Moon goes on the back lines. He does manage to find the Lich. Blizzard time box out of there. He wants no part in this. Moon wants to chase. He's trying to take away Blizzard's life. Blizzard in the trees being hunted by the Spectre. Will fall. No, he manages to time back out. But Zafito there does have the Yule Scepter. Actually, it's off cooldown, but the blast should be enough. As Archmage gets himself a double kill.
Radiant's top
Both
tower
cores
is
die
under
from the side of
attack.
Global Esports.
Dire
And
are
now
scanning.
Entity could look to close this game out. Zeus even buys back, if I'm not mistaken,
Radiant's
just so
top
that he can
tower
rejoin
has
his team.
fallen.
Now, everything went right there for Global Esports. They got 3 people
Radiant's
in the
top
chrono. I
tower
think the
is
only
under
thing they're
attack.
really missing out is a lot of damage. They're not able to do that. I don't really see Crowley getting those trees on point in that chronosphere, which
Yeah.
is costing them
Radiant's
so
middle
much
barracks
more
are
than
under attack.
expected. Now, Entity, playing on Global's mistake, is going to go ahead and take the tier 3 racks. The first racks of this game, the first racks of the series. And Entity, they're looking strong.
Radiant's
All
middle
they had to
barracks
do was
has
keep
fallen.
Moon alive,
Radiant's middle
and they did it.
barracks has fallen.
Now, meanwhile, on the backlines, now 8:35, trying to just make
Radiant's
sure that
top
they don't
tower
get
is
another set
under
of racks.
attack.
Still 30 seconds left for Blizzard to come back, and that is a lot of time for Entity to get another set of racks for themselves. And
Radiant's top
Crowley,
tower
he
has
can
fallen.
enter, but will he really get into the fight? No, he's not gonna.
Divine with the Yule Scepter setting up for A35. A35 should be careful, but the Avalanche and the Chain Frost could cause a couple of problems. Moon does have the Manta Cell, so the Chain Frost barely takes kills as they bring down A35. He's dead without buyback. Soul falls as well. The Tree Toss doing a lot of work. Crowley once in, he sees Zeus and Zeus falls. That's a dieback on the Sand King, and Global Esports, they managed to hold on to another lane of barracks, but barely and how.
This is so bad. This is just going completely not as planned here. 37 minutes into the game.
Okay, Global Esports, they're trying to kick this into another gear as they're hunting for Archmage. 50 has the Hex. Archmage has got to be careful. He does have the Aeon Disc, if I'm not mistaken. That might buy him time. The Dispel is there. Archmage with the Glimmer Cape looking to run alive and healthy. Should manage to get out.
I think think the major problem that Global's is facing is raw firepower. Every single time the Chrono is on point, but it's not only just Blizzard. Maybe if it was another hero apart from that Lich, or maybe not the OD, they would have more firepower. But as of now, there's just no damage. Even if you look
I,
at Void's inventory,
yeah.
it's and Mirana just looks confused.
Now, now remind me, did did Crowley get off a tree volley in that previous chrono?
No, he didn't. He's not going to tree volley in any Chrono.
I think the next time around he probably will, and maybe just maybe the fight could look really different. Now I've got to commend Zafido for this really smart bit of itemization coming out from him. He's gone for the Earth Plate, which is going to make the Void look really silly in his own Chronosphere. It's also going to make the Tiny look a little silly in his own Chronosphere because the Earth Plate does block physical damage, and Tree Volley is physical damage. So
That's a smart itemization there from
yeah,
Zafido.
so Zafido is going to be saving someone's life for sure in that Chronosphere. All he's got to do is stay out of it. And at this stage, I'm absolutely okay if Divine gets stuck in that Chronosphere. He's got that border time. He should be able to take most of the damage. It's unlikely that anyone focuses him. So I'm okay if he gives up his positioning in these team fights just so that Zafido is out of the Chronosphere to save another core.
Absolutely, and if Moon
Divine,
is,
this is
oh
not
my
this
god,
is not what I meant, but he does get a lot of information. Maybe Entity want to fight this. There's that airplane, buying Divine Time. Zeus going for that epicenter. Blizzard sees it, gets out of there. The epicenter doesn't come through, but Pasol dies nonetheless. The tree volley there. It's on to Moon. Moon in the Chronosphere, still alive and healthy. He's found himself a double kill. That's Blizzard with his BKB, but that's Blizzard getting nothing done. The Sadie's Eclipse is there. Divine is dropping low. He will manage to escape the Moonlight Shadow. Buying time as Global Esports don't have detection. Swifty's BKB is one off. Maybe they want to take this fight again. A defensive Astral, how much can it really do for Swifty? Can he disengage? Pasol with the buyback, once back in. Blizzard with the timer goes a bit too far forward, but the decrypt the whale. Blizzard might just end up falling. The Yule Scepter from Zafido though will buy him time. Does buy him time to tag his Shrine as Blizzard is alive barely by the skin of his teeth. But at the end of it all, it's a buyback force, it's a death on the Ogre, it's a Chronosphere expended, and all they find is Divine.
all they find is Divine, who they went in for and kept playing around with them, set up the whole fight for the rest of his team, and somewhere now they're forgetting the power of Moon. He has a haunt. He can enter any fight whenever he feels like, and the major problem over here is not the factor that Global is not able to sustain, it's just that their supports are not able to sustain. If you look at Pasol's inventory, I don't really think he has a lot of defensive items, so every time there is the horn available, he is just dying like a creep, and that forces the side of Global Esports to play without sentry wards, to play without a dust, and to play without their fifth hero. And that is the reason why they're finding it so difficult to
50
take
and
these
Blizzard.
fights.
Blizzard, he pops BKB, Swifty with his own BKB looking to run. Maybe they might just turn it around. The Avalanche and the Tree Volley not doing that much. Divine did have the border time. He's alive and healthy. Entity want to go back in. Who do they find? The arrow doesn't quite connect on anyone as Blizzard is alive and healthy. But they found Crowley, if I'm not mistaken. Excuse me, it's A35 on the Ogre, who's probably going to end up falling. The Nether Blast there, bit by bit. They will chunk away on this Ogre as A35 is once again the only sacrifice from the side of Global Esports.
Not the best way to start the grand finals here for Global Esports. They did not expect this kind of
Radiant's
patience
top shrine
coming
has
out from
fallen.
Entity Gaming, and now that Entity is on the spree, they are not stopping with the pressure. You're going to see Moon now back into the top lane, faces Void. Finally, he's picked up an MKB, so he is dishing out a little bit more of damage, but meanwhile Moon, he's gone ahead with a Scotty and a Butterfly, so he's not going to be dying anytime soon. And knowing that now, Global has to really figure this out. They can't give so much advantage to Entity Gaming. They are going to be going ahead for a quick catch here on this big creep. And once they do manage to take this, it's more and more certain that Entity is going to be closing game one. What do you do right now if you're
Roshan
Global?
has fallen to the dark.
I don't know. I mean, you have to fight and you have to give it your all. You have to hope that Blizzard lands a good Chronosphere and that the Tree Volley afterwards is enough. Crowley, I believe he's got himself enough money for the Deadless if he wants it. And maybe with this Deadless, he should be at least able to delete a couple of supports.
Absolutely, but for that, Global's got to make sure they get their synergy on point.
Radiant's
They
bottom
make sure that that
shrine is
Chrono
under
and
attack.
Tree Volley get used
Diamond.
back to back to have the same outcome as discussed. Until now, we've not really seen that happen too much. They're finding it really difficult to pull off that combination. And NT Gaming are taking full advantage of that scenario. We're looking at the item progressions yet again. We do see the
Radiant's
mech
bottom
still
shrine
available.
is
Going to
under
be a
attack.
Greaves mostly
Radiant's
coming in there
bottom
for the
shrine
Mirana.
has
Apart from
fallen.
that, we do see a Shadow Blade pick up onto Swifty with the Hex and the BKB and the Kaya. So he's pretty much farmed up for now. Meanwhile, there is going to be a pick Solar Crest on the side of Divine. So he's getting tankier and tankier. And the only thing that he's looking forward to is to keep Moon alive. 11k net worth lead now on the side of Entity Gaming. 24 to 34 reads the scorecard. So Global, slowly but surely, it does feel like they're losing momentum in this game.
Yeah, it is Entity who are currently dictating the tempo of the game as Global struggling for any sort of an answer. I mean, Entity themselves, they have the ages, but they're not trying to force a fight or just try and take the fight to Global. They're treating Global with the respect they deserve because the Chronosphere could possibly be too much for some of them to handle if they aren't positioned rather well. Uh, they have the lead and they're doing what global esports do, which is just build upon that lead, get bigger and bigger, get fatter and fatter, and squeeze global esports off the map. They're giving global a taste of their own medicine.
Absolutely. Especially after the previous game. I mean, when we look back to the previous game and this game, there are two things that are similar. The fact that right now a Lord rests on Blizzard and he has got to get so many things right in every single fight. For the side of Entity, even if the Spectre is the one soaking in all the damage, she doesn't need to do much to really kill. She has already the Radiance, and as a hero itself, she does a lot of burn damage. So now Global has to make sure their support survive. In this case, they got to make sure that Pusol gets items
It's
up and
so
running.
hard for Pusol to survive. I mean, Pusol is trying to throw his body so that the rest of global can try and get the spells in, but yeah, Crowley in the trees is waiting for them to walk up into his base. Moon, he's activated that double damage rune, so it seems as if Entity want to take this fight. The arrow is going to miss. Moon with that dagger, just walking up. He's got the solar crest, the range barracks melts, the toss, or excuse me, the tree volley there. Moon barely, Tickle still has the ages. The butterfly, the evasion helping his case. The last glyph of what could possibly be this game being committed here by the side of Global Esports. No commitment. Does Blizzard want to go in on two nearly meaningless heroes to try and bring down in this engagement? They're going to give up these racks in Entity. I mean, they can keep pushing for more and more. The dagger there, so vision on Blizzard available for the side of Entity Gaming. And they're going to close in.
Them.
Radiant's bottom tower
They are.
is under
I mean,
attack.
Global have to take the fight, and it is so hard to fight into the Spectre. It's moral defeat here for Global Esports, as they seem to have no answers for what Entity are doing. It's now or never. Blizzard wants the backline, won't find it. Zeus with the initiation. The Yule Scepter, bit of a goof up coming out from Zephyro, will allow Blizzard to pop his BKB, turn with the Chronosphere. But look at Moon. He's done a lot of work. The defensive Astral will buy time for good old A35, but can't say the same about the Soul as he ends up falling. A35 dropping really, really low. Will fall to Moon. Does have a buyback. The Starstorm there. Blizzard finally goes down. No Void for 98 seconds. GG, well played is the call.
And you were right.
I
Entity
was
closes
right.
game number 1.
I was right.
They started off so well here for Global Esports, but Entity Gaming coming out stronger, just like they did yesterday against Whoop. So that is definitely not the complete series, though. We still have game number 2 that's going to be coming up. Is Global going to come back, or is Entity going to close this grand finals with a 2-0 scorecard? We'll find all that out right after this short break.
Full fucking outlet. And we are back with game number 2 and what might be the last game here for Global Esports in this best of 3 at the Taiwan Excellence Gaming Cup 2019. My name is Vivek. With me is Angela. And boy, did Entity outplay them and how.
I mean, just outplayed them too well. Every single time we saw Global take those fights where they were supposed to convert, Henry just played them better. And it had a lot to do with the fact that I didn't think they had enough firepower in game number 1. Somewhere they were missing that out after the 20-minute mark. A lot of reliance coming out there on Blizzard. But if they wanted to play a lineup where there was not much of firepower, I somewhere felt they could have gone for something like the Juggernaut, something like the Monkey King, something which has more firepower because everything seemed to be working for them except the damage. So coming into game number 2, I think Global got everything right except that. They even shut down Moon to a certain extent, but then it just fell out of place after a certain point. So I don't think Global's going to make the same mistake again. They're going to come out with a very different kind of draft. Looking at the way this draft has already started, we see a Sand King and a Grimstroke getting picked up here from Global Esports. Meanwhile, NTT Gaming, they're going to reply with the Tiny and the Abaddon. They're also going to ban out the Razor. They're going to go ahead and ban out the Bristleback, the Ancient
Dire
Apparition,
team
Slark, and Naga. The reply to that is going
Radiant
to be
team.
the Night Stalker, Magnus, Alchemist, Morphling, and Mirana. And quick pickup yet again from Global Esports. They are getting the magic damage done here. They've got the Jakiro as the next pickup on the board.
Yeah, I think this is going to be Pasol on the Jakiro, Sand King Grimstroke. That should be the offlane that Global Esports will be running with Crowley and 835. Crowley on the Sand King.
10
Entity Gaming, they're going to
seconds
pick up the
remaining.
Ogre for themselves. Now, I mean,
5
in
seconds
general, in
remaining.
this patch and in the Taiwan Excellence Gaming Cup 2019, it's been the Tiny who's been run as a 3 position. So I'm going to guess that this is a